In a world full of light and darkness, the lives of the chosen ones are not without their challenges. You realize that you are in an uncomfortable situation with a certain person. You notice their tense body language as they cast critical and judgmental glances in your direction. The air around you feels heavy, with a sense of suffocation. You notice that this person is trying to control the situation and your emotions, demanding your constant attention and ignoring your needs and desires. You feel as if you are in an emotional prison, unable to express yourself freely or walk away. You realize that they are using manipulative words and actions to keep you under their control. You feel a mixture of fear, anger, and sadness at being in a situation that is so damaging to your mental and emotional health. People who are considered difficult are described by those who live with them as bitter, selfish, and without the slightest respect or consideration for others. Difficult people tend to be very invasive, disrespecting the other person's space, their wishes and opinions, and even their rights. And the most interesting detail is that everyone around them notices these problems, but the person who is described by everyone as difficult doesn't notice them, or, what's worse, notices them, but never admits it. Because of their destructive attitudes, everyone wants to get away from them, not least because no one can talk to a difficult person. Any attempt at dialogue is in vain, because they won't accept being contradicted in their ideas, no matter how absurd they may seem. They are also controlling, manipulative, and only see the negative side of life. The difficult person has the power to negatively contaminate all the environments they frequent, be it family, professional, or wherever. Bitterness, negativity, and selfishness are their unmistakable hallmarks. Have you ever wondered why certain difficult people cross your path? It's not by chance. These individuals, as painful as they are to endure, play a fundamental role in the divine plan, honing your spirit and testing your faith. Do you know those types of people who can literally transmute good into evil? Do everything about it or commit acts of behavior so heinous that they leave you wondering if justice or morality exist in the world. Antagonists, selfish, greedy, malevolent, are common characters in many lives, including mine. They may appear to be allies, but they turn out to be villains in disguise. When our inner worlds overflow with love, light, and appreciation for beauty, it's hard to understand how someone could embody the exact opposite. How can there be such cruel people? How do they get away with their heinous acts? If everyone around me is stooping to such low heights, shouldn't I do the same? Why be virtuous when no one else is? For those of us who are empathetic and sensitive to the emotions and well-being of others, it is literally an impossible task to ask us to behave in an evil and completely selfish way. Therefore, we cannot understand how others manage to do it. Just as Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brothers, tested through injustice and hardship, we too face our own betrayals and trials, shaping our resilience and character. These trials are not punishments, but profound lessons designed to deepen our spiritual journey. They provoke thought, stimulate change, and push us towards our higher purpose. As Moses faced Pharaoh, not with overwhelming force, but with unwavering faith and divine signs, we learn to see these difficult people not as enemies, but as catalysts for our spiritual growth. Stay tuned as we explore the philosophical and spiritual reasons behind their existence, and learn why these encounters are stepping stones to our destiny, not obstacles. The first reason is that there can be no protagonist without an antagonist. In our spiritual journey as chosen ones, we are confronted with a universal truth framed by the principle of polarity. Everything is double, everything has poles, everything has its opposite. The equal and the unequal are the same thing. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Where there is divine light, shadows must also form. This balance is not arbitrary. but a fundamental principle of creation. As chosen individuals, when we channel greater light and goodness into the world, we must anticipate the appearance of equivalent darkness. This is not a cause for fear, but a match. Understanding this principle clarifies why we, as chosen ones, often face intense challenges. These adversities are not mere obstacles, but necessary counterparts to the light we embody. The universe, wise in its orchestration, ensures that these challenges are within our reach. Equipped with spiritual tools and divine guidance, we are prepared to face these challenges. By recognizing and using these tools correctly, we transform potential adversities into profound lessons and milestones in our spiritual evolution. This shift in perspective is crucial, enabling us not only to endure, but also to thrive and fulfill our mission. The concept of duality, particularly as it relates to the chosen ones, is deeply intertwined with our spiritual and personal growth. This principle of balance, light offset by darkness, joy offset by sadness, is not just a philosophical abstraction, but a lived reality that shapes our spiritual missions. For those who are chosen, every infusion of light into the world does not go unchallenged. The presence of darkness, in the form of trials, difficulties, and antagonistic forces, tests our determination and purity of purpose. This is not an arbitrary test, but a deliberate divine mechanism designed to strengthen our faith and refine our spiritual faculties. As we navigate through these challenges, we are offered unique opportunities for profound spiritual insights and transformation. In the dance of polarities, I am the thesis, and the other, the one who is different from me, is the antithesis. Initially, we are indifferent to each other, dissociated and isolated. We have no interest in knowing who the other is, avoiding interaction and communication. We remain hidden in our separateness, trapped by the invisible webs of duality. However, the universe, ever persistent in its flow, places us in the same space-time, in an irreversible situation where we are forced to recognize and accept the existence of the other, an otherness beyond our singularity. Here, duality evolves into polarity. In this polar phase, the other, whom I previously disregarded, now exists, but remains in opposition. They are my adversaries simply because they are different, of a different color, because they live in a different neighborhood, because they cheer for a different team, because they support a different party, because they pray to a different God, because they enjoy different things. This opposition generates conflict, because I believe that their mere existence as someone different threatens my identity and even my existence, given the scarcity of resources and the belief that only those like me deserve to live and be happy. Understanding this principle helps us realize that the more light we produce, the more likely we are to encounter darkness of a similar scale. However, this should not evoke fear. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, only presents us with challenges that are within our capacity to handle. We are equipped with all the necessary tools to face these challenges. What matters is our choice of tools and how we apply them. This understanding changes our perspective, encouraging us not only to endure, but to learn and grow from these encounters, turning what may seem like adversity into valuable lessons that guide our spiritual journey. In the biblical context, figures like Job and Moses didn't just endure trials, they grew through them, emerging as examples of faith and perseverance. In the same way, the chosen today are called not only to resist darkness, but to transform it through their ongoing commitment to light and truth. Thus, understanding and embracing the law of duality is crucial for the chosen ones. It teaches us that spiritual growth is not a journey of constant light, but a path marked by shadows that we must learn to navigate and ultimately illuminate. This is our vocation, to be beacons of light in a world that is often shrouded in darkness, using our divine gifts not just to resist, but to promote profound spiritual renewal and change. The second profound reason why difficult people and challenging situations find their way into the lives of the chosen is that our lives are intrinsically designed to test and teach us, making suffering an integral part of our divine purpose. For anyone who has faced adversity, it is clear that suffering is not just an obstacle, but a prerequisite for gaining deeper understanding or developing essential skills. Consider the stark contrast between poverty and wealth. Without experiencing lack, one cannot truly appreciate abundance. Although a wealthy person may feel grateful for their abundance, it is only after experiencing genuine scarcity that one can fully understand and appreciate what it means to have abundance. This principle applies directly to the chosen ones. Their spiritual journey often involves facing darkness in order to fully appreciate the light. With this principle in mind, it makes sense that there are inherently evil people in the world, designed to cause you suffering. Now it's up to you to take that suffering, reflect on it, and apply it to create lightness in your world. The problem arises when you can't overcome the challenges presented to you and instead fall into self-destructive behaviors to deal with all the difficult emotions you're suffering. And yet, even with these self-destructive behaviors, one day you'll be fed up, put your foot down, and bring about change. In fact, I would say that the bigger the fall, the bigger the climb. That's why the presence of an antagonist is a sign that you are being challenged and essentially encouraged to grow by the universe. Although it's hard to adopt this mentality when you're facing evil head-on, it's true. Antagonists are designed to make you soar, even if it seems horrible during your journey to overcome this challenging time in your life. In this divine design, the inherently challenging or bad people we encounter are placed in our path not just as tormentors, but as catalysts for our growth. They lead us to reflect on our suffering, learn from it, and use these lessons to bring light and transformation into our lives. The real challenge comes not from meeting these antagonists, but from our response to the difficulties they bring. If we succumb to self-destructive behavior or despair, we lose the opportunity for growth. However, overcoming these trials, often after reaching a breaking point, leads to profound personal and spiritual development. The third reason why difficult individuals and situations exist in the lives of the chosen ones lies in the need for contrast in order to learn and change perspective. Understanding anything in life comes from experiencing its opposite. How do we know something is sweet unless we have tasted what is salty? How can we appreciate heat without having felt cold? It is through these contrasts that we gain a true understanding of each experience. At some point in your life, you can only be aware of what it means to live without money, because that's all you know. Your worldview and perception are limited to that one experience. However, once you've experienced life with financial abundance, your perspective changes dramatically. From that point on, you will always appreciate the value of money because you have experienced both ends of the spectrum. This principle applies universally. Without experiencing the full range of any spectrum, we cannot truly appreciate any specific point within it. In the spiritual journey of the chosen ones, this spectrum includes not only material experiences, but also emotional and moral ones. To be a complete individual, you must experience suffering and joy, ignorance and enlightenment, kindness and cruelty. This is why the presence of inherently difficult or bad people is essential. They help us gain perspective. They highlight the contrast between good and evil, making us more aware and appreciative of the good in our lives. Although it's challenging, it can be comforting to realize that even the most horrible people play a vital role in our growth and development. They are the catalysts that drive us to reflect, learn, and evolve. Sometimes I'm grateful for the antagonists in my life. While they have certainly contributed to my suffering, they have also been the source of invaluable lessons and skills that I have developed because of them. The need for contrast in order to learn and change perspective is profoundly illustrated in several biblical examples, providing deep insights into the spiritual journeys of the chosen ones. One of the most powerful examples is the story of Joseph. Joseph, loved by his father Jacob, experienced extreme contrasts in his life. From being sold into slavery by his jealous brothers to becoming the second most powerful man in Egypt, Joseph's journey was marked by ups and downs. His suffering in the grave and in prison was contrasted with his rise to power, which enabled him to save his family and many others during a severe famine. Without experiencing betrayal and hardship, Joseph might not have fully appreciated the significance of his eventual triumph and the fulfillment of his dreams. Another example is the life of King David. David's path to kingship was filled with trials and adversity, especially his conflict with King Saul. Despite being anointed as the future king, David spent years fleeing Saul's attempts to kill him. These difficulties contrasted sharply with his later successes and reign. David's experiences of suffering and persecution deepened his trust in God, transforming him into a wise and compassionate leader who is remembered as a man after God's own heart. Similarly, the story of Job illustrates the profound learning that comes from experiencing contrasting states of being. Job, a righteous man, faced immense suffering when he lost his wealth, health, and family. Through his trials, Job's understanding of faith, perseverance, and divine sovereignty was deeply deepened. His restoration, where he received double what he had lost, highlighted the contrast between his suffering and the blessings that followed, underlining the depth of his faith and the steadfastness of his character. The Israelites' journey from slavery in Egypt to freedom in the Promised Land also exemplifies this principle. The 40 years they spent in the desert were marked by suffering, doubt, and dependence on God. This period of contrast between their slavery in Egypt and eventual freedom and prosperity in Canaan was crucial in shaping their identity as God's chosen people. It taught them trust in God, obedience to His laws, and the value of the promised land they would inherit. For today's chosen people, these biblical stories offer a model for understanding the role of contrast in spiritual growth. The presence of difficult people and challenging situations in our lives is similar to the trials faced by Joseph, David, Job, and the Israelites. These experiences, although painful, are necessary for our spiritual development. They teach us resilience, deepen our faith, and increase our appreciation for the blessings we receive. The fourth profound reason why antagonists are present in the lives of the chosen is that they indirectly reveal our true selves. For empaths and moral thinkers, few experiences provoke deeper reflection and self-discovery than encountering individuals who harm ourselves and others. Imagine a life where everything is perfect and heavenly. We would never reflect and grow as we do through suffering. In our darkest moments, often provoked by these antagonistic characters, our true selves are revealed. It is in these times that our morals and values are genuinely tested. If you can remain faithful, virtuous, and moral during the most challenging moments, you will become unstoppable. If you can show kindness, even when it seems like the world is against you, you will prove that you really are good, and you will be rewarded. These difficult moments are opportunities for your light to truly shine and illuminate the darkness around you. When the dark clouds eventually dissipate and your days are filled with laughter and sunlight, you will have passed the tests and emerged as a more enlightened, aligned, and powerful version of yourself. So, my friends, antagonists are not only necessary, but essential to our lives and learning processes. This too shall pass. Your antagonist may remain in your life for a short time or for longer than expected, but know that everything has been divinely planned for you. Stay optimistic and don't lose sight of yourself. Everyone is a test, and everyone can be a source of distraction, designed to divert you from your path of alignment, or to propel you forward after overcoming challenges. By recognizing and understanding this, you will be able to navigate your journey with a clearer perspective and a stronger sense of purpose. If you find it very difficult to deal with difficult people, don't hesitate to seek professional help. There are certainly aspects of your soul that need to be awakened. There is a potential for growth that will only develop if you receive the help you need. Alone, it's very difficult to overcome obstacles in our relationships, and most of the time, we think that the change must happen in the other person. It must be external, but it's exactly the opposite. It's the internal changes that mobilize the external ones, because the other person's behavior, even if that other person is a difficult person, is directly influenced by my own behavior, and by the way I see life and myself.